Hi. Today we're going to learn about truth and justice. China has a truth on this virus. Truth goes something like, we didn't do anything, probably it was your fault, probably came from your country, we didn't hide anything, we have nothing to hide, there's no proof, scientists can't prove it. If you've got proof, let's see it. Try to prove something, because you can't. Well, you don't always have to have proof to know the truth. We know a few things. And these are facts. One, there is a lab in Wuhan, China, a virology lab. Two, it's filled with the largest collection of bat viruses in the world. Three, in 2010 there was a bad outbreak of avian flu, and the Holland guy created this animal passage technique with ferrets to make monsters out of viruses really fast and easy. But President Obama outlawed that, luckily. It's too dangerous. In 2013, the bat lady, Dr. Shi from China, who had been searching for the SARS virus for 10 years, found it in a cave. And she found two little sister viruses with it. They were very, very similar to the SARS virus, and she took those home. 2 years later, Wuhan Lab gave a bunch of money to the University of North Carolina so that they would run some experiments, which they knew how to do, on how to make these viruses nastier than they were. So they paid money, and Dr. Shi and another doctor came over and they participated, and after working for a little while, they were successful. They made one of these little monsters. They took that virus that didn't have any affinity for human lung tissue and turned it into something that craved it, and something that was not contagious, now would pass. Wasn't as bad as SARS, need a little more work, but is pretty close. So Dr. Shi has learned the process of how to make a monster out of the virus. She returns to the lab with her little pets in Wuhan, China. The French have been building a lab there for them, a BSL-4 lab, so that they would have a safe place to run experiments, of these very dangerous type of pathogens. And the French are going to sit there, and they have 20 scientists who are going to stay on and kind of help with the transition and show them how to do things. But as it turns out, the Chinese military comes over and assumes control of that lab in 2015. And then they kick the French out, so there's no international oversight. And then 2 years later, all of the restrictions on animal passage are eradicated. They expire. So what we have there is this lab. We have the board set with these pieces. Virus is there, knowledge is there, military is there, the nasty little things are there, all the skids are off for using this animal passage. So its stage is set. Nothing happens for 2 years. The very first inkling that there is a problem is a young lady who works in this lab dies suddenly, unexplained. They don't really pursue it, but the authorities at the lab, military I guess, they eradicate any record that she was ever at that lab, worked at that lab, or affiliated with that lab in any way. Then you have the whistleblower. The doctor finds that virus going, gets concerned, and puts the word out to the world to warn them. And China doesn't pat him on the back. China calls him a liar, gags him, and discredits him. But the cat's out of the bag. So China has to come up with some explanation on what's going on in Wuhan, and they say, well, it's not much. It's an animal to human transfer. It occurs in this wet market with the bats, and the people eating bats and this stuff, and we know about these things and we can handle it, don't worry. And the world doesn't worry, because an animal to human passage means that you can still do your international flights, and unless you happen to be in contact with the animal, it's safe to do what you want to. And so all of those international flights continue for months. So then China jumps in there and sanitizes that market, just totally eradicates everything in there, cleans it out, sterilizes it, sanitizes it. But gosh, they didn't take a single sample from that lab to see if that's right where that really occurred. So they never took the sample. Well, then they start doing the blood work on people with COVID, and they find out that some of the very first people that had the disease in Wuhan had nothing to do with the lab, with the wet market down there. They had no contact with that. And all of a sudden an alarm goes off, because that tells us that it's a human-to-human transfer. It doesn't have to have the animal. And another alarm goes off and says that wet market cannot be the source of that virus, because it doesn't have the animal context in there. It was already human to human, and it had already progressed to that vicious, contagious stage. So China has to admit it's a human to human, but they tell the world, don't worry, it's okay, we've got it covered. But secretly they are stopping all of the exports of their ventilators and their PPE to the countries that have ordered it from them, and they start to import ventilators and PPE from the countries that, the other half that produce it. And they start hoarding all of this because they know there's a great butt kicking that's occurring, and they want to stock up on all of this at the expense of the rest of the world. So the world asked Dr. Xi, the bat lady, to come in, tell us something about this. She's the expert. China says, nah, we're not going to let her talk to you. And then they start the big social media campaign everywhere, and it's very blatant, you know, and this isn't set up there to kind of help the world understand what's happening and protect themselves. This social media campaign is for misinformation, to deflect the blame. So it can't be the lab, you know, it's they want to blunt any critical criticisms that might be out there. On Quora, right on Quora, I've been encountered that that blunting on Quora and questioning and disseminating, you know, confusion. So all of that, you know, and then they say, well, maybe it came from the United States, and it's all your fault because your people couldn't fight it as well as our people. You know, we started it, but you know, it's your fault because you weren't equipped to fight it as we were, because we hoarded all that PPE. So China is sitting there, and they are going to start criticizing, you know, this, what I'm saying. But they have forfeited their right to criticize when they started manipulating the evidence in order to produce an outcome that they wanted. And once they started doing that, destroying the evidence, inhibiting the normal forensic process, they relinquished all of their, oh, so sorry me, you can't do that, it doesn't make any sense. All I have presented to you right here are facts about that lab that were presented before 2017 that are on the internet and cannot be altered. And then I have these events that occurred and China's response to those events. And the thing is, whenever they had a chance to respond to one of these events in a way that could help the world, they chose not to do that. They chose to hide it. They took out all of the evidence. They criticized, got to wait for the scientists to study the evidence that we didn't give them. So that's the way that it is. This virus came out of that lab. This virus was probably animal passage. If it looks natural, it could be animal package. And so those are the facts. And that's what I've determined. And when they deny us the evidence, we get to make whatever facts, you know, point us to that we still have. And these facts all point in one direction. So all we can tell China is, you know, the world's not going to forget this. It's not going to be business as usual. And this is no longer going to be about finding the cheapest one of these that I can. It's going to be a different world. It's going to be interesting. So think about that. Thanks for listening.